Yo, what's up trainers, welcome back to a new video, and in today's video we're gonna be diving into the Jungle Cup, which is obviously a cup where you can only use Pokemon that are 500 CP and also specific typings, which I don't know from the top of my head. But anyways, it's a 500 CP cup, meaning that the fast move pressure obviously of some Pokemon are going to be insane, such as Steelix, Shadow Steelix especially, and I've managed to get one myself for the little cup with good IV feeds. It's rank 14 actually, which is kind of insane. I got it and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna keep it and maybe I will use it sometime, and today is the day that we can use it actually. I only run it with one charge move because that's basically the only thing you need, and here right off the start they are basically core broken by the Steelix, although Scorpi does put in the work and also sets up the fight, because as you can see right now the Aqua Tail does an tremendous amount of damage, which is just insane, almost 50%, or it did 50% of damage, but it doesn't really matter because their fast move obviously does basically do no damage. And here we can basically shoot up their charge move, which is going to be the next Aqua Tail, and then I'm gonna go for one more, and they actually outpace us very quickly, so I'm deciding, you know what, I'm just going to double shield here and probably farm them all the way down, which we get. So now we still have a lot of energy, so if that Altaria decides to come back in, which they do, I'm just going to go for one Psychic Fangs, and now look at the damage of our Dragon Tail against the Altaria, which is going to be insane. But they actually decide to instantly swap, and they didn't get a fast move through if I'm not mistaken, which is very advantageous for us. But here, because their defense has just been dropped, we can just easily go for the Poison Fang here and farm him all the way down, and then afterwards we're going to just apply that debuff on our opponent if we get the farm down, but we cannot. We just get barely outpaced by the Litleo, and now at this point they're going to go for the Crunch, which is fine. And now we just gotta hope that whatever, or the Altaria is not going to make that Sky Attack, because we can still farm them all the way down before they get there, and that's going to be a GG. So that was actually very well played by my opponent, where it got really close at the end, but still we were able to manage. Alrighty, next game we got the Scorpi on the lead this time. Now let's see what my opponent is going to do. They're actually deciding to stay in, which is fine. Obviously they got the Aqua Tail as a good coverage move, doing super effective damage against us, so that's going to hurt, as we have already seen in the previous game. But here we actually we reach the Psychic Fangs, and now we're going to go for it, and as you can see they reply with the Aqua Tail. Now I'm just going to swap, because basically there's not a lot that really counters a Golbat save swap, especially when you're at one shield up against your opponent. So I'm not going to bait. I'm just gonna go for the Shadow Ball here, and we get it, and we get the farm down. This is absolutely insane, because now at this point the game is basically over, right? There's basically nothing in the back that should really output enough damage against us to win this, especially because we still have 2 shields on our Steelix. So we're gonna go for the Shadow Ball that does so much damage, and I'm just gonna instantly come in with the Cottony because they're still switch locked in. So now we can easily farm them down, take this damage, which is obviously not going to do anything. They go for the debuffs or of the Bubble Beam. We get the Charm through, so that means that this Cottony or this Chinchou is going to be wiped off the field by Charm, and now we can just easily just come in and do whatever we want to, just tapping with the Charm damage. I'm not going to shield, they just have to dump their energy, which is fine. And after this I'm just going to instantly swap into our Steelix, and Steelix is just outputting the work. We get the fast move through, the Dragon Tail, the Shadow Dragon Tail, and that's going to be it for this game. GG's to my opponent, and now we move on to the next. Alrighty, next game we got the Golbat on the lead. So this is obviously a very favorable lead for us, and they say swap into a Swineup. So we don't have an answer for it really, because we are one turn ahead. This really helps us by outpacing them into the first move. So I'm just going to stay in there and make sure that we get those Dragon Tails and debuffs off, and we actually get one through, which is very nice for us, because this means that we can just easily farm them down before they even reach another one. So that was very poorly played by our opponent, but it worked out for us even better than it should have been, because in general they do reach another move at that in that scenario. And here I'm just going to instantly swap into my Golbat. Why? Because I can tank one Body Slam, and if they try to come back in with their Golbat, they're far behind in energy, and I'm not expecting them to shield. And if they shield, that's fine, because then we should still be able to play this game out. And they actually decide to shield. They're putting their faith into the Wooper, which is fine. I'm just going to let this go, and I think with the switch timer I should be able to really just easily well, wait my timer and then at the end swap to finish this game with Steelix as well. So now we're just gonna come in with the Cottony and they instantly swap obviously into their Golbat because it's a way better matchup for them. And now we're just gonna apply that charm damage. As you can see, it still does a really like a lot of damage. And here we actually make the move, which is insane. And now I'm just going to swap it. We got the Psychic Fang stored here as well. We got the Seed Bomb on our Cottony, and we are not in a range where one Body Slam will KO. So even though if we will lose CMP on the move, they still have to throw here because we would have reached another Psychic Fangs. Steelix is absolutely insane in this meta, and honestly it's so fun to use as well, just because Shadow Steelix looks cool and it just dominates all these small Pokemon, where Steelix obviously is one of the biggest probably in this meta. So that's really nice, and as you can see, we survived the Body Slam here, and now we're gonna go for the Seed Bomb, which is going to kill probably a dozen of Mud Boys. And there you go, Whooper, see you later, GG's. Alrighty, next game we got Steelix against Steelix, the mirror. So the team we are using today is obviously Core broken by Stunfisk on the lead. There's basically not a lot you can do in that scenario, but in general I do like to swap out into my Golbat. But sometimes I feel like I swap into my Cottony. It just depends on how well the feeling I got with the costume I see. It doesn't really make any sense, but it's just a feeling when you start the battle. But in general, Golbat is your safe swap because they have the Stunfisk on the lead. That basically means that their backline might be weak against the Golbat swapping in. So in general, they like to stay in there, and you can play that match out if you have a bit of reading, or you should be able to read your opponent a bit in how they play and what they try to do or go for, which move they go for, and then you just gotta see how that game works out for you. But in general, the Golbat is the safe swap of your team when you face the Stunfisk on the lead. And here they're coming with the Pidgeot, which is fine because the Pidgeot obviously is not going to be a tank in this meta. So Poison Fang them all the way, and we get the shield actually, which is insane. And now I expect them to go for the Feather Dance, but I actually decide to shield up anyways. And they go for the Feather Dance, so I think, well, probably we would have been KO'd by the Feather Dance, even though it's not going to do a lot of damage. So probably a good shield by us, by also preserving our Golbat here. And what do they have in the back? It's going to be a Figurot. So I'm just going to go for the Poison Fang. Overfarmed a bit, should have just went for it straight away and then swapped to preserve some HP on my Golbat here. But it doesn't really matter because now the Charm is going to seal the deal for us in this endgame. Because we can take 2 Body Slams. I got a really high tech or high ranked Cottony. And even though I think we would be able to still survive 2 anyways if it wasn't a high ranked one, but as you can see, Cottony is really tanky and it can just output a lot of damage. So another core breaker for us on the lead, which of course is going to be the other Stunfisk. I don't have one myself personally under 500, which is super unfortunate because I think it's one of the strongest mons in this meta for sure, because as you can see right now, it just absolutely core breaks my team. Here I'm gonna go for the bait. Now let's see if we can get the bait, or are they gonna call the bait? They're gonna call the bait, of course they're gonna call the bait, right? Whenever you're baiting and whenever you're not, they always know. But in general, we have to see how this is going to play out now, and we're gonna go for yet another bait, and we actually get the shield, so that's nice. I'm going to decide to let this move go through, and they actually go for the Mud Bomb, which is surprising obviously, but it gives them the perfect farm down. As you can see, that resisted Mud Bomb still did a lot of damage to us. So now let's see what can we do. We're gonna come in with the Cottony basically to resist all their fast move and charge move, and they're gonna go for the move, which is fine. I just hope to get rid of this thing by charming them down, but unfortunately they swap into their own Cottony, and this is really an awkward situation for me because I cannot really swap into my Steelix, because even though the charm is going to be resisted, it's going to add up. And besides that, our Dragon Tail obviously is also going to be resisted on their part, so we're all throwing resisted fast moves at each other, but it's not going to help me out. But here actually it sets me up for a really nice farm down. So now let's see if we can actually make something out of this game, because I don't feel like we are in a winning position at this point, depending on what they have in the back. Now let's see what they're gonna bring in. They're gonna bring in that Mud Boy, and now we're gonna go for the Psychic Fangs to get rid of this thing. And now it all depends on what they have in the back. I hope they have a flyer, but they got the Figurot, and that is going to be a GG because our Cottony unfortunately is too low, where it doesn't really have any play against the Steelix, and we cannot output a lot of damage or enough damage to get this thing as low as we want it, and we get farmed down by the counter damage. So that's a GG. So another tough lead for us, but we got the answers for it in the back on this one. So we're gonna swap into the goal bet, and they reply with a Scorpi, which is obviously not the best reply in my opinion, but we can actually make this thing work. And as you can see right now, they're already in the red, and I'm just going to let this move go through. Let's see how much damage does this Aquatail do. It does a respectable amount, and they even get to another one. So at this point, I'm fine by shielding and just preserving and keeping a switch, because if they come back in with that Mob Boy, we will be able to reach another Shadow Ball, and that's going to do a lot of damage, obviously. So they want to preserve their Pokemon right, and now I'm just gonna go for the Shadow Ball. It doesn't really matter which Pokemon just came in. It was the Altaria, and we just take them out, and at this point this game is over, because there's just nothing they can do against us. They're gonna come in with the Wooper, and I'm just gonna swap into my Cottony, and they can go for body slams, but honestly Cottony is so tanky in this meta. I'm just going to shoot up this move, because that's probably the only charge move in the game which is going to really hurt me, and we can just go for the charm here and tap our opponent down, because Cottony in the back is a real scary closer if all the answers are gone. If you see a steel type on the lead and you can play it out, or any other type of counter for the Cottony, then basically you are in a good position. So as you can see right now, we face off against the Ducklet, which is obviously a very favorable matchup for us, although it can be tricky if they farm up to the Brave Bird, and they can, well, output a lot of damage on you even though it's resisted. And here my opponent goes for the Bubble Beam, and then they swap out into their Cottony, which is obviously fine for us. I'm just going to apply that debuff, and now we can easily farm them all the way down, leaving with so much energy. Swapping into a Cottony is really risky in this meta, because as you can see, if your opponent has the Golbat, then that's basically GG already, because now we have so much energy on our back end, where if they come in with whatever Pokemon they have, in this case it's going to be the Swineup, so this actually is not over yet, because it's really scary for our backline. But we got the alignment now, and we can just apply yet another debuff here, and their what's it called, the bird, the I will see it in the next few moments. But whenever their backline Pokemon right now is already their Ducklet, it's already very low of HP. So our Cottony should be in a position where we should be able to farm them down before they reach 2 Brave Birds, or they should be able to bait us. But as you can see right now, just sacrificing my Steelix here, we get the farm down, and at this point this game should be over, because they cannot debuff themselves, because then the charm would do even more. They have to go for the Bubble Beam here, or just go for the Brave Bird, and I shouldn't be able, or I shouldn't be shielding, but obviously I'm going to shield, and I'm going to use my shields here and just farm them all the way down, because that's basically the easiest way of winning this game at this point. And that's going to be what we are going to, or that's what we are going to do. My English is going well today, but anyways, here right now we got a perfect lead again, and they swap into a yet another Swineup, and honestly this matchup is where you have to stay in. If they swap into a Swineup, that's actually very fine for you. You can just easily go for the move, we get a Dragon Tail through, and I know I can survive a Icy Wind, so I'm just going to let this go and keep switch, and as you can see, that is huge. Now they will get a few extra wing attacks probably, because they come in with their Golbat, but we just got another Dragon Tail through as well. And now as you can see, we can just easily shield and play out this mirror, and then whatever is going to be in the back hopefully is weak against Cottony, or Cottony has a good matchup against, because in general you will be able to reach a move against whatever they have in the back when your Cottony is still alive. At full health at least, because it's just so tanky. So now I'm just going to double shield and farm them all the way down, because I think I will be able to before they will farm us down. And as you can see, we get the farm down. That is huge. And what do they have in the back? It's actually going to be that Cottony as well. So we are able to apply that debuff, and that's going to be key for us, because now we will swap out, and those charm damage are going to do more than they will do on us, because we are not debuffed and they are realizing it at this point, and that's going to be a GG. So Another game, we face off against a Toxicroak. Really spicy pick by my opponent, but we got the answers for it in the back, although it is kind of scary. So I throw one Dragon Tail, more accidentally than on purpose, but they stay in way too long, giving us such a head start, as well as we have so much energy against their against our opponent Stinkfish. But on the other end, their Toxicroak is already so low that we can easily take it out with one or two charms. And here we land the Shadow Ball as well, and now we can easily go for the Poison Fang here. And I'm going to double shield if this doesn't KO, which it barely doesn't, which is really unfortunate for us. But I'm alright with just using my final shield here, because we have two Pokemons in the back that really hardball whatever there is in the meta. So I'm not feeling so I'm feeling confident right now at this point, and they're actually coming with a Licky Tongue, so we should be able to have this game anyway. So now I'm just going to swap into my Steelix, making sure that they come back in with their Toxicroak, and we get to the move, but unfortunately we lose CMP. But it doesn't really matter at this point, because we can farm them down now with the Golbat, making sure that they don't get an extra move off. And at this point, whatever they're gonna throw, which they're gonna throw right now, we unfortunately are not able to apply another debuff, but their Licky Tongue is so low that we can easily charm them all the way down before they reach multiple body slams. And as you can see, they don't know it yet, they're gonna play it out, and we farm them down. They still had 2 shields in that game, which is always funny if your opponent is not able to use those. So GG's. Alrighty, we face the Core Breaker on the lead. So in this time I told you should swap into Golbat. In this game I played it differently. As I said before, in general that is not the way you should play it, because there obviously are a lot of Golbats in this meta, and if you face one, that's basically GG. But I know sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit and hope that you will get something out of it that plays out your way. And in this case it actually did, because they went for the Bubble Beam straight away, and we will be able to farm them all the way down if they don't go for another move here. And they actually go for yet another Bubble Beam, which is fine, but will we reach another move before they do? No, because they throw, which is perfect for us. We can actually just come in and farm them all the way down with our Steelix. They undercharge it here, which is a nice play, and now they get a little bit of extra farm, making sure that they will reach that move. As you can see, barely, even though they will be knocked out after this Dragon Tail comes through. As you can see, they're gonna go for the Bubble Beam, and now I'm just gonna come in. I know I can survive yet another Muddy Water here. So now they are dry on energy. We can take this, and now I'm going to swap into my Golbat. And what do they have in the back? It is actually going to be that Pikachu Libre, which is obviously a tough Pokemon for us. But look at the damage this is going to do. It does a lot of damage, and now hopefully we will be able to farm them all the way down using our 2 final shields in this match. And now let's see if this is going to be a close game still, because they will reach their final move here, which is really unfortunate for us. But now let's see if we can make something out of this end game. We're gonna go for the bait here. This is a really risky play, and honestly, well, I don't think you should play it this way, but we don't get it anyways. As you can see, we should have had this game if we went for the new move straight away. Then this Stinkfish would have been so low that yeah, well, we would have probably won this game by farming down with the Steelix in the back, and I also probably would have swapped then and get to the Psychic Fangs, applying that debuff, probably having them to shield that move at that point, and then we might have had a Poison Fang later on that game with the Golbat in the back, because I would have swapped out at that point. So yeah, it didn't really work out for us, that final game. But anyways, I hope you trainers enjoyed this video. Honestly, Steelix is a really strong pick in this meta, so make sure if you got one, use it. If you don't have the greatest IVs, doesn't really matter, use it anyways. You don't have to use or you don't have to buy a second charge move on it. It costs like 90,000 starters, which obviously is not worth the investment for this meta, because basically Dragon Tail Psychic Fangs is all you need. So I hope you trainers learn something, maybe gonna use this as a setup to well, make it your own team. So for me, use Shadow Steelix. It's a really good Pokemon, and I will see you trainers in the next video. Peace.